The code behind your eyes, a computational theory of visual receptive fields. Have you ever stopped to think about how you see the world? It just happens, right? Effortlessly. But under the hood, your brain is running some of the most sophisticated software on the planet. And today, we are going to pick at the source code for that software, a theory that explains the very structure of our vision, not by looking at the brain, but by starting with the pure, undeniable logic. So, let's start with the central mystery, the actual data hitting your retina. It's a complete mess. It's a chaotic, shifting, blurry stream of light that's changing all the time. And yet, what you perceive is a perfectly stable, clear world. So, how on earth does your brain take that raw, chaotic input and turn it into the steady reality you are experiencing right now? I mean, think about what your eyes are dealing with every single second. An object moves closer, and the image it makes on your retina gets bigger. A friend turns their head and their face shape completely distorts. A car zips by creating this blur of motion. These are huge geometric shifts, but you still recognize the object, the face, the car instantly. Your visual system is just built to handle it. To figure this out, we have to look at the basic building block of vision. It's called the receptive field. The easiest way to think about it is like this. It's the tiny little window onto the world that a single brain cell, a single neuron, is responsible for seeing. It's like a single pixel in your brain's giant TV screen. It's the fundamental unit of your perception. Alright, so this brings us to a really radical idea. Instead of just poking around in the brain to see what it does, this theory asks a different question. If we were engineers designing a perfect vision system from scratch, what are the absolute non-negotiable rules it would have to follow? Let's try to build an ideal eye using nothing but logic. Okay, rule number one. Our perfect eye has to recognize an object no matter how big or small it appears. You know, a coffee cup is a coffee cup, whether it's right in front of your face or all the way across the room. The system's response has to change in lockstep with the object scale. This is a property called scale covariance. Next up, rule number two. Our system has to recognize that same coffee cup even if you're looking at it from the top down, from the side, or from some other weird angle. The shape it projects onto your retina can get all stretched and skewed, but your brain still knows it's a cup. This superpower for handling tilting and distortion that's called affine covariance. And of course, the world isn't a photograph. Things are always moving. So rule number three, our ideal eye has to recognize an object whether it's sitting still or cruising past at a constant speed. This is a property that physicists call Galilean covariance. It's all about handling motion. Now, this last rule is the most important one. It's absolutely crucial. As the system processes an image, it cannot, under any circumstances, just make stuff up. It can't invent new details that weren't in the original image. You can't just hallucinate a new edge or a new dot. Any processing it does has to be a simplification of reality, never a creation. So let's just recap the job description for our ideal eye. It has to handle objects of any size from any angle, moving at any speed, and it has to do it all in real time without making things up. That is an incredibly demanding list of requirements, so you have to wonder what kind of system could possibly satisfy all these rules at once. Now you might be thinking there are endless possible designs, right? But here's where it gets truly amazing. When you treat these rules not as guidelines, but as strict mathematical axioms, they don't just point to a solution, they corner you into a single unique mathematically necessary solution. So on one side, you have the challenge, this whole list of fundamental problems that vision absolutely has to solve, and on the other side, the solution. The big question is, what is the one and only shape for a receptive field, the one filter that can possibly meet all of these demands? And this quote from the source paper just nails it. The solution isn't just a good guess or some convenient model they cooked up. The shapes of these receptive fields can be derived by necessity. The logic itself forces your hand. There is only one right answer. And here it is, the answer. The only possible solution is a specific family of mathematical shapes called Gaussian derivatives. You can think of them as these perfect idealized little light detectors. Some are simple blobs for just sensing a spot of light, while others are stretched out to be perfect for sensing edges and lines. The incredible part is that the math tells us these are the only building blocks you can use. So why these shapes? Why do they work? Well, it's because they're like a perfect Swiss Army knife. This one family of filters can be stretched to handle changes in size. They can be tilted and sheared to handle different angles, and they can be adapted to handle motion. They are the complete toolkit that satisfies every single one of the rules we laid out. Okay, so that's a really beautiful piece of mathematics. It's elegant, but so what does this abstract theory derived from pure logic on a chalkboard have anything at all to do with the massive wet biological hardware that's humming away inside our skulls? Well, the answer is where things get really wild. This really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, it's one thing to design a perfect ideal system on paper. It's another thing entirely for millions of years of massive evolution to stumble upon that exact same solution. So the question is, did it? The answer is an absolutely mind-blowing yes. Just look at this. The theory predicts simple circular receptive fields that are excited by light in the center and inhibited by light in the surround. That's exactly what neuroscientists find in a part of the brain called the LGN, the first big relay station for vision. The theory predicts stretched-out oriented fields for detecting edges. Well, that is a perfect description of what are called simple cells in the V1 cortex, where we first process shape. It even predicts exactly how color should be processed, and yet it perfectly matches the double opponent cells they find in V1. So I want to be really clear here. This is not just a close match. This isn't a coincidence. The mathematics didn't just stumble upon a model that kind of sort of looks like what's in our brain. No, it derived from the first principles, the very blueprint that evolution itself seems to have followed to build our eyes and our brains. It's an absolutely stunning convergence of pure math and massive biology. So this whole discovery is way more than just a cool fact to share at a party. It gives us a profound, deep framework for understanding vision, not just in humans, but in machines too. What we've been walking through is something called the normative theory, and it's a really powerful idea. It doesn't just describe the what, like what kind of cells are in our brains. It explains the why our brain must have those specific cells. It's because they are the one and only optimal mathematical solution to the problem of seeing in our world. So why does all this matter? Well, first, it gives us the beautiful unified theory explaining the very structure of our visual system. Second, it builds this incredible bridge between the abstract world of pure math and the physical, concrete functions of our brain. And third, this is huge. It gives us a blueprint for AI. A computer vision system built on these principles from the start could be way more robust and efficient, and it wouldn't need to be trained on mountains of data because the core logic is already baked right in. And that kind of leaves us with this one last fascinating thought to chew on. If the fundamental code of our vision can be derived from pure logic from mathematics, well, it just makes you wonder, right? What are the secrets of the brain? What other complex functions are not just random accidents of evolution, but are actually these elegant, necessary solutions to fundamental problems just waiting for us to find the right equation?